The Leafs punked one of the NHL's best teams. Ilya Samsonov looks like he may be seriously injured and could miss some time. And the Leafs finally look like they are the initiators, the aggressors, and I think that's a very good thing heading into the playoffs. Welcome back to Leafs Digest. My name is Darius Domingues, and guys, we've noticed that about 80% of you watching our videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you want to do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's going to get exciting because the playoffs are right around the corner, and there was a lot of playoff atmosphere around this game against the Edmonton Oilers. Obviously, the storyline of Zach Hyman potentially hitting 50, which he didn't. Thankfully, because the script was written for him to do that in Toronto. Thankfully, he didn't. But the Oilers coming into Toronto, and I mean, the Oilers and the Leafs have been some of the NHL's best teams since the calendar flipped to 2024. I mean, if you look at the Oilers, they're 13-1-2 versus the East, and then the Leafs obviously have their fantastic record against the West, 16-4, and obviously the goal differential very similar, plus 32, plus 34. I mean, these stats speak for themselves. The Leafs have been pretty, except for the penalty kill, the Leafs have been quite brilliant the last little while. The power play has come alive, and obviously they've been doing a little bit better the last month or so, because obviously they had a great February. But lots of storylines to get into in this game as well. Bertuzzi didn't play in this game. He's still feeling the effects of whatever illness he's dealing with. Labushkin is also dealing with an illness. He didn't play again. But despite that, with all the injuries too, the Leafs are playing through it. Marner didn't play as well, but they're getting through it. And guys are stepping up, and I think the Leafs need that. Holmberg stepping up. Guys like McMahon, which we'll get to in a second, right? These guys are stepping up, and that's what they've needed for years, and they never really got that from the Marlies. Speaking of the Marlies, we'll touch on that later as well. But they've never gotten that, and they need more of that from their players and guys they call up. And, the next man up mentality. A lot of other teams have it. The Leafs haven't had it the last couple of years. I'm seeing it now. And not only am I seeing that, I'm seeing physicality, which should excite everyone because it excites me. And what I saw in this game today, we'll get into it. It excited me because we need more of that, and we've been talking about it for so long. I just want to give a little shout out to Simone Benoit too before we get any further in the video. We've been on the Simone Benoit train. Got to hit it. The Simone Benoit train. I love the way he's been playing. He's been one of the Leafs' most sturdy defensemen all season. I love what I'm seeing from Edmonton as well. But Benoit tonight, again, pretty steady. And even when he did make mistakes and glaring mistakes, he got back in position. So had to give him a shout out, of course, Simone Benoit. But, the Leafs all game. McMahon gets the first goal. Very typical goal of his, crashing the crease. He scores. Holmberg, there's a lot of nice passing plays. Holmberg chips in for two as well. McMahon got another one, which was an absolute snipe. Nylander just speeding into the zone, stops up, passes it across the ice, and just an absolute snipe on Connor McDavid back-checking as well. Like, that, it doesn't get better than that, guys. It just doesn't get better than that. And when you take a look at the Leafs' top stars, I mean, I talked about it in a previous video. William Nylander, Austin Matthews. This is the season of Austin and Willie, all right? And when you look at William Nylander, he has 31 points, 16 goals, 15 assists in 22 games since the All-Star break. This guy has been on absolute fire all year, and he continues that streak. And one other guy I wanted to give, a little bit of love to, because we've been, harping on him and kind of bringing things down on him the last little while because of the defensive zone stuff. He had 2 points tonight, Timothy Liljegren, and he has 14 assists in his last 16 games. He's really picked it up on the offensive side of the puck, and that's always really been there. We know that. It's just the defensive side, but I think he's starting to figure out that he can use his speed as leverage to get himself out of tricky situations, which he wasn't doing before. I like his game the last little while, and it's funny how hockey works. We were talking about Liljegren is unplayable 2 weeks ago at the trade deadline. Maybe they even trade him, and now maybe he's starting to figure it out. And I think it has something to do with his defense partner as well. But I'll get to that in a second. But Liljegren, I mean, he seems like he may be turning a corner. I would like to see more out of him, and I would like to see more physicality. But we'll get there when we get there. And Austin Matthews and William Nylander, the first pair of teammates in Leafs franchise history with 90 points each prior to the 70-game mark of the season. Can you believe that? In the entire 108 year or whatever it is franchise of the Toronto Maple Leafs, this is the first time a pair of teammates have hit 90 points before the 70-game mark. That's insane. That's insane. The work they're putting in this year, we've never seen it in Toronto. So just have to, we have to appreciate what we're seeing here from Austin Matthews and William Nylander. Just awesome stuff from both of them. And, they are stepping it up. We've talked about stepping it up. They are stepping it up when needed. And like I mentioned, McMahon, Holmberg, guys like that, stepping up when needed. Max Domi, haven't even mentioned him yet. But Max Domi, fantastic. But yeah, the Leafs, for the most part of the game, at least the first part of the game until the third period, decimating Edmonton tonight from James Myrtle, missing 3 of the top 9 forwards and a top 4 D. It's true. It's crazy what they've been able to do the last couple weeks, but it's been fun to watch. Definitely fun to watch. And I talked about it, guys stepping up, the Marlies. So from former Marlies tonight as well, McMahon, 2 goals, 1 assist. McMahon has been this guy, it's almost like a trade deadline acquisition in a way. He has been fantastic. He's going to be huge for the Leafs in the playoffs. I've loved everything about his game. And I was talking about how he's figured it out at every level except for the NHL. And he's been, a scoring player at every level except for the NHL. He's figured it out in the NHL now. And he's only going to get better, I think. He is a little bit older, but he's only going to get better. And McMahon, 2 goals, 1 assist. Holmberg, 2 goals. Nice goals, too. Nylander, 1 goal, 1 assist. And Nylander's goal was an absolutely filthy tip-in from, on the power play there. And Liljegren, 2 assists. So, fantastic. I'm not going to go with the rest of the Hyman slander. I'm not with that. I like Zach Hyman as a Leaf. I think he's a great player, so I'm not going to go with that. But great stuff from former Marlies tonight. And Hyman did get on the board anyway, so congrats to him, but hasn't hit 50 yet. But love it from the Leafs. And the Leafs improved to 18-6-1 in their past 2 months. They've been one of the best teams in the NHL since mid-January. Lots to like from the Leafs from a bigger sample size standpoint. Heading into the playoffs, they're hot, and I think they're figuring it out. The next thing I wanted to mention, McCabe, love him all season. Edmondson, this is why you acquire a guy like this. A guy like Edmondson tonight completely threw Draisaitl and McDavid off their games. Completely threw them off their games. At one point on a power play, Edmondson that's a great trade-off. If you're taking Draisaitl off the ice for Edmondson, that's a great trade-off. That's why you acquire a guy like that, to throw other players, be physical, throw the other team's best players off their game, and to get trade-offs like that. Yes, you're going to the box, but you're bringing one of McDavid or Draisaitl to the box with you. I would take that trade-off in a playoff series with the Florida Panthers or the Boston Bruins. I think that's a great thing. And then the Leafs just seem like they're not taking any more crap from other teams. Max Domi gets in a fight as well. They're up big at that point. I think it was 5-2 maybe. It could have been 5-1. And you don't want the momentum to swing. So Max Domi, he's still engaging, he's still physical, drops the gloves, right? He gets the Scotiabank Arena going again and, injecting a little bit of energy into his team and the building. And I love that. Like, we have not seen that from the Leafs in so long, and they are bringing it now. They are absolutely bringing it. It is hard to play against the Toronto Maple Leafs again. And if they can bring that mentality and the physicality into the playoffs, they will be a hard team to play against. And it's been a long time since we can say that. The skill's always been there. But for the Toronto Maple Leafs, especially this year's playoffs, it will not be about skill. It is about will. And we have not seen that for a long time. And I'm very excited to see what they're going to do in this year's playoffs. Because, again, this was a great team in the Edmonton Oilers. And there was even that one penalty kill in the middle of the game where they killed it off and then Holmberg ended up scoring. Just fantastic. Like, great aggressive penalty kill, which has gotten better as well as time goes on. Obviously, Marner's going to come back and help with that big time when he does eventually get back into the lineup. But I love what we've been seeing with everything. The aggressiveness, it's great. It's great. They need more of that. So hopefully they can continue that into the playoffs. And, despite all these injuries, I love the adversity they're having to go through because you kind of come together as a team as well through times like this and all the illnesses, the injuries, all this stuff, the turbulence of a season. I love it. Final thing I'll mention, Ilya Samsonov seems to have been injured. We don't have any, this is an instant reaction I'm doing right now. We don't have too much information. It didn't look great. It looked like he couldn't put too much pressure on his leg. Could be a groin, could be a knee. It's all speculation at this point until we find out. So we'll have a video for that when we get there. But the good thing is the Leafs are rolling with all 3 goalies. Joseph Woll looks like he'll get the start in tomorrow's game. Martin Jones came in, made 5 saves, and won the Leafs the game because the momentum completely shifted to Edmonton's side. It was getting a little scary there for a minute. But you know what? Martin Jones, he is what he is, and he was pretty good for the Leafs earlier this season. Hopefully Samsonov's not, too hurt, because in my eyes, he was going to be the number one. He's going to be the starter heading into the playoffs. He's been hot. So hopefully, it's nothing too serious, but we'll keep you up to date with that on the channel. We'll have another video for you tomorrow. We should have another post game for you tomorrow as well, and we'll keep it rolling throughout the week. Playoffs are right around the corner. The Leafs are playing physical again. They're playing with speed and skill as well. It's an exciting time if you're a Leafs fan. A win like this against the Oilers, where they, dominated them on the scoreboard for the most part, and physicality, it is, you have to love it if you're a Leafs fan. You have to love it. But me and Nick will see you for another video tomorrow.